been in business for about 14 years. Absolutely love the industry, love everything about it. However, this past year was the unforeseen, with everything with the labor to getting work, stuff like that. Feels like we've been just plagued by the low ballers, where our customers are going for projects from other contractors that just do absolutely horrendous work. My question is to you, like, it seems like, at least in our marketplace, quality of work does not exist anymore. People are just like kind of paying for it to get done, I don't know. Have you ever experienced that? Are you seeing that, or am I just in a mental black fog right now?
Yeah, I would say definitely the latter. We get so wrapped up in our industry, and honestly, I've seen time and time again where everyone has their own specific market, and we get so wrapped up in it in our local competition and everything. It's like, well, like ultimately everyone's struggling with labor, right? And at the end of the day,
Right.
like, that means a bunch of trucks coming into the market, which they will during a recession. You have to remember, every other competition that is not a truck and a truck is having problems like you are with labor, with inflation, with getting guys to come to work, all the rest of it. And so what that's going to do is, if they compress, if they start laying people off or just downsizing to just themselves and they lay off 4 or 5 guys, there's gonna be a lot of work to be had, and truck and trucks are gonna come up everywhere. But there is absolutely a market that wants and does not want a truck and a truck and is willing to pay for a premium service that has employees, has an office staff, answers their phone, has a great website, takes credit cards on file, is bonded and licensed, and all the rest of it. And so the biggest goal you have to think about is, how do I, in my marketing and my branding, have a perceived value to the customer that is so far beyond the truck and truck, there's no more comparison. Comparison. Like, it is obvious to the consumer, right, that the truck and a truck is going to be cheaper, and they know that. And you're very confident in saying that. And you will literally blast it if you need to on your website. And like we do in our automated sequence for follow-up to our estimates, we literally tell them, here's the costs, we're not the cheapest, and here's why. Because we're confident in the brand, and we're confident there's going to be people that are willing to pay for that, because they also, most savvy consumers and people that have money and businesses and investors and the people who you actually want as customers for the long run, especially through a recession, and they're not going to be wheeling and dealing and going for the next cheapest truck in a truck, because there's always going to be someone cheaper. That ideal customer knows that if they go for the cheapest person, there's a really good chance that person's not sticking around very long. And so they want, like, I personally am very happy to pay 15, 20, 30% more if I know my contractor is going to be around for the next 5 or 10 years versus I can't ever get a hold of him next season and all the rest of it. So I'd really be focusing on branding and your messaging and your marketing and your website to make sure to the customer there is no comparison. And when it comes to price, like, well, of course they're way more. They licensed, they're insured, they're bonded, they come with uniforms, there's multiple employees. When I call, they pick up the phone. Like, there's no comparison of product. And that might mean you're going to get a 30%, 40% close ratio instead of 90% by cutting your prices. But you want those customers, because those customers not only are going to say yes to a higher price, but they're going to stick with you through a recession instead of just going to the next guy that's going to offer them a cheaper service.
Here's one more question that kind of circles into that, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, obviously you can tell we're very focused on customer relationships. It's absolutely the most important aspect. Doing what you say you're going to do, right? Building the brand, right? So in a marketplace where, like, labor can be a question mark, your books are already pretty much to their capacity. How do you position yourself in the marketplace with your advertising if you don't have any availability to really be sold, right? But still want to keep your, you still want to keep your brand kind of like have brand awareness, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's the deal. You want to make your price so high that people literally cannot compare services. For example, this is a battery charger. If I told you that this battery charger is almost $800, immediately you would think, well, there must be something crazy awesome about this charger. And that's just a bridge between price and value that we always draw as consumers. Go ahead.
Don't turn it off. Just keep blasting advertising no matter what.
It's more about branding, not advertising as much as branding. I want you to really raise your price to the point where people have to be like, okay, this person's charging $100. This truck and a truck is charging $35. there's got to be something different here. They both look at the same lawn, and then that's when they literally call you and say you're twice as much. And you're like, yeah, here's why. And then you literally, that's your platform to share exactly all the things that make you different than chucking a truck. Now, if you are exactly the same as chucking a truck and you raise your prices, you just won't get any work. But what you got to focus on is, from a branding perspective, making it very clear to the consumer that my prices are going to be significantly higher because of these things. And if you have no capacity right now, the first thing I'd be doing is raising prices. I would literally go to all your customers, and everyone always thinks that you're going to lose a bunch of customers. You would literally raise your price. No one would leave. Very few would. And the few people that would leave are the ones you already, they're the most headache right now. And then that would give you the capacity to keep growing and getting higher value customers. But it comes down to branding and really just making sure that you are so different in terms of price and value that they can't compare you apples to apples. It's like, obviously something is different. And then when they dig into it, it's obvious what the differences are.
Awesome. I needed to hear that, my friend. Yeah, you're right. You kind of get in, you have those you kind of go through all those different emotions, I think. You go through the highs, the lows, and you just kind of have a moment where you like start questioning your own self, even though you've been doing it for so long and have found success with it. You kind of stray off the path from time to time. So I appreciate it. It's kind of nice to hear that, man.
You got it, brother. Take care. Have a great day.